All right, I'm back with another video. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's Detroit Trey TV. Um, yeah, man. So I'm just down here studying as I usually do, and I just came across some stuff. I come across a lot of stuff because I like to debate and argue, but um, it's not about just debating for like senseless debate. It's actually to prove a point. Um, so my point I'm here to prove today, um, hopefully will lead a lot of other people down rabbit holes that I went down. But hopefully this source that I'm going to present today, in the midst of other things I'm going to talk about and present, um, hopefully this source shows people where to look now, and shows people that uh, they were all wrong about certain things, and certain people were right. Right? Not saying everybody's wrong, but certain people were right. Certain people were wrong. But first, I want to talk about Tartaria, right? Something that I realized and something I found out, right? So I'm gonna talk about Tartaria first. So, as you know, those who are in this whole conspiracy atmosphere, there's a conspiracy about ancient Tartaria, right? Like why did it disappear? What did it used to be? Blah blah blah, right? And this is something that I figured out, right? I figured out this as I'm reading books, and I'll probably present this in another video. I'll pick this right here for now. This is on the Library of Congress website. So I really want to find a big video, not a big video, but a big map of Tartary, right? As this might be it right here, right? But this is when they start using the English language and all of this change of stuff. But as you can see, from this video, let me blow it up a little bit, just a little bit, so y'all can see. You see it says Tartary, all right? Tartaria, all right? Right here in this region, right here. It says Tartaria, right? Tartari Sigmagni Chamregio region, like kingdom. The kingdom of Tartar. And as you see where it's extending all the way up into what we know is like Siberia today, right? All the way down into what we would know as China, right? All the way down in China, right? So clearly it existed. Clearly this place existed. In this region, this is what I want to point out, right? I want to point this out because this is the trick, right? That they played with the language. They played with the language. They played with changing things, right? And if you follow my logic, if you follow me, you'll understand this and you'll see it clearer. So, as you see, you're showing Tartaria and Tartary. So, during a certain time period, 1500s and in the past, prior to the 1570s, right? This area was known as Tartaria. As you can see, it says Oceanus Scythicus. So this is the Scythian Ocean. It's the ocean of the Scythians, right? All this in the north is where the Scythians roam, right? Tartaria, right? So keep all of this in mind. Tartaria. We don't see this region on the map being called Asia. So as I'm studying, I'm going through, I'm like, okay, so let me go to a world map because let me just see. Okay, we see now that this region, this is a little, let's see if we make it big. Bow, look at the little dolphin over there. But as we can see, Asia is here. Let me make it big again. As you can see, Asia is here, right? Hold on 1 second. I don't like how this looks. All right, that's better for me. That is better. So as you can see, it says Asia, clear as day, right? But as we just realized, right, it says Asia, Mongolia, China, right? But as we just realized, is that this don't even say Mongolia in this region. This is all Tartary. This don't even say China. It's all Tartary, right? This is Tartaria. And then we all know over here is Europe. I guess this would be like Germany, right? This is like the Black or the Caspian Sea, the Black Sea, I believe. One of these is the Black Sea. The Caspian. This is the Caspian Sea, right? Or the Mare de Baki. So that might be the Black Sea or the Caspian Sea. I could be wrong. Excuse me. And this could be, I forget what this is up here in this one. But this one down here, Black Sea, Caspian Sea. So anyway, take note. This does not say Asia, right? You might see it say Ania, but that's not Asia. So I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, that's the trick because I'm reading these books, right? And as I'm reading these books, let's see if one of them is up real quick right here. Right, it's not this one. It's not this one. This is something else. I'm gonna show some stuff in here too because I got for days. I got it for days. But give me 1 second. Let me pull up this other window, and so I can try to show y'all. Oh, that's not the right thing. Window capture. Window capture. Streamlabs. Oh, there we go. All right, gotta pull this one up. Excuse me. Boom. All right. So I want to unlock that too. I don't know why I don't be locking it. So Pete, I gotta pull it up on my screen so I can see it. Y'all can see it, but I can't see it. My bad. Ooh, boom. There we go. All right. So what I noticed is this. We all know Tartaria just does not exist anymore. No place is on the map says Tartary. But as we see, the region was once known as Tartary. Independent Tartary, Grand Tartary, right above it, Tartary Muscovite. We know that's like the Russia region. Grand Tartary, Tartary Independent. You feel me? Tartary, all these different regions, right? And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go back to that map in a minute. But ultimately, this is what I want to show. So as I'm reading, let's go to. Let me see where. Let me see. I got so many books over here. I just want to show just a quick example of what I'm speaking about because this is just very interesting. This is how they played the trick, right? Map wise. So let's just go here, right? I want to go, and I just want to go to like something simple as them speaking of Asia, right? So I can show you that in the ancient world, right, they spoke of Asia not being in the region that we know today in modern times as Asia, right? When they're writing up until, let's say, the early 1800s, when they're writing books, this is an older book. This might not be 1800s. I gotta move. Oh, damn, this is big. Pause. I didn't even peep that. All right. That's about straight for y'all. I still gotta move it over though. How can I? It won't let me. That's odd. That's very odd. Hold on. We having technical difficulties. Oh, I know what I did. I gotta unwindow capture that, baby. Oh, I gotta unlock it first. Ain't that about something? Alright, fit the screen. There we go. What was I doing, y'all? I don't know. Goofy. Again, do I do fit the screen? Stretch the screen. There we go. Then you lock it. There we go. That looks better. Okay. So, ooh, I don't even know if I can see that now. All right, gotta blow it up a little bit. Gotta blow it up for y'all because this is old English writing. So, situation of Earth and all maps. As I was saying, so they're speaking about Asia, right? Here we go right here. So, so for instance, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna highlight it too, so make sure y'all can see it. Let me do this the right way for everybody. So I want everybody to be able to see this. We're gonna do it in yellow. We're gonna highlight it in yellow, and we're gonna go right here. So I just want people to pay attention to this, right? And it's the only way. The only way you'll understand this is if you're reading and you really you have an understanding that you know that they changed these. I mean, you can clearly see I presented just one map. It shows you that okay, that's totally things are totally changed in the past 150 years. Because that was from 1570, but we still have maps. I can find a map from the 1800s that still have Tartary on the map right before they changed it. I just wanted to give that quick example. So, with that being said, let me get back to this. We'll close this now. So, I'll need that up. So, and then we're going to make this a little bit bigger. All right. And then, that's cool for now. Y'all good. So, it says, Shem spread himself over the south part of Asia and America. So, according to, and I'm just going to point this out, according to this source of sacred geography from 1671, right? The author is writing saying, I think this is Ogilvy. I could be wrong, but I'll go back up there and find out who the author is for y'all. Shem, the descendants of Shem, got the south part of Asia and America, right? Now, Asia, it says Ephia, but we all know that the F's and S's were, they use F's, they use lowercase F's to signify S's back in the past for some odd reason when they just couldn't put an S there, because clearly you got an S right here, and it just doesn't make sense. But that's just how nonsensical the English are sometimes. And then you lose S right here in Germans, like lowercase S. You could have clearly just put Asia. It just don't make sense, right? But this is how they like to play the game, right? They like to play word games. They like to play mind games. And if you pay attention, you'll catch them. And I've caught them. I'm on them. So Shem spread himself over the south part of Asia and America. Now, if you've read the Bible, you know Shem got a land clearly in Africa. After the flood with Noah, all the animals coming off the ark, landing on what is known as one of the mountains of Mount Ararat. The mountains of Ararat, specifically called the Mount Lubar, right? And I'm going to get to that too. This might be a little long video because I have to explain all of this so people can really understand what happened and the story of the Bible and the story of the world and who people are. Because if you listen to our oppressors and the people who wrote most of the people who wrote these books, not the people who wrote these books, the people who wrote the books for us to learn, right? Not the books that I'm presenting right now. The books that I'm presenting right now are people who were going out in the age of discovery, discovering stuff, doing their best to write down facts. Yes, we're going to come across some things that kind of look a little weird and you see where they lied about some things. But if you read enough and you put enough of these different authors' writings and compare and contrast to each other, you get to see that, okay, I can see this person right here was leaning a little more on the truth side of things. And then these people might have been trying to flip it to the Middle East or flip it to somewhere else, right? Because of the racial thing, right? It's a racial thing. They don't want this story to happen with black people. That's ultimately what it is. It's a race thing, and everybody doesn't want it to be about race, but that's what it's about. And if it wasn't about it, then they would just say, oh, well, the Bible happened in Africa. But it's clearly about race. Or so they would not want their whole religious base to be based off of them having a black God or the people of God being black. So they had to change the narrative after they got the people of God in prison. The people that they got, I'm gonna get into all of this too. I have to explain uh, the Roman conquest, right? In times of Jesus, when the Romans was already in Jerusalem, have to explain that to people because a lot of people don't understand that portion of the New Testament because everybody's so stuck on Paul, which I have a good understanding of what happened with Paul, and maybe some people can understand it, but most Christians ain't gonna understand it. Excuse me, most Christians ain't gonna understand it, and ain't gonna want to understand it because they're so caught up in the religion of Christianity that they can't see that that was the trick. That's what they used to get everybody a part of what we're all doing today, participating in the Roman Empire, right? So, as you can see, Asia and America, Shem got the south part of Asia and America. So, descendants of Shem were Americans. Oddly, that's why they were over here speaking what? Hebrew. And people could communicate. What's my man's name? Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus supposedly had a Hebrew navigator named Esteban or something like that, right? And why would he have somebody who spoke Hebrew on his boat coming over to the Americas if the people that was over here in the Americas, not saying everybody, but they could have been if them people wasn't of Shem, right? So, and that's like coming from Africa, right? So they literally got. I can show you that in the Book of Jubilees too. You just have to be willing to let your mind. This is for Christians. Anybody who's just a seeker of truth like me, you'll be willing to say, all right, let me look into these books and try to put this puzzle together. It's kind of interesting, because it was for me too. When I came into the knowledge of who I was and who my people were, it made everything that I learned when I was a kid, as far as watching movies and reading this little stuff, being good in history and geography and stuff, it kind of made everything start to make more sense when I started to look into other things outside of the whole Hebrew Israelite, the camp stuff, right? The camp doctrine, because that got me into it, right? Anybody who came into the truth a couple years back, maybe about 10 years or so back, kind of might have got caught up into the whole camp thing. But if you did your own independent studies, you kind of seen through a lot of that, which people seen through it. Some people left the truth, but they need to come back into the truth. Just stay away from the camps. This is the truth. Christianity is going to lead you into taking the mark of the beast, honestly, if you stay there. So, look, let me get back to this. So, Shem and the south part of Asia. Now, what I've realized is that when they're talking about Asia, they're talking about, this is what they're talking about when they're talking about the south part of Asia, right? Because all you got to do is read how they wrote, how they're writing. When they're writing in ways where two Ethiopias, right? You got an upper Ethiopia and you got a lower Ethiopia. Did you know that? You got on maps it says Ethiopia inferior, Ethiopia superior, right? You'll see that on old maps, right? And I might have some. I'll find them and put them up. Maybe not this video, but I might find this might be a long video, whatever. But if you pay attention to what these people were writing, they wrote this stuff in a way where over the years, different conquests, different people took over the region, and they changed names. As you can see, I'm going to African map. We're just going to go to African map, right? So, I like this one. Yeah, I like this one right here. So, it says that Shem got the south part of Asia and the Americas, right? So if you've read the Bible and you read the Book of Jubilees, it said that Shem got the lot of the whole the center of the earth, right? Right. So the regions of the center of the earth would be the regions in between and going down, right? From the center of the earth, which being the equator. The equator is running right here, right? The equator runs through sub-Saharan Africa. Boom. So it's an equatorial line that runs through here. Then you get a mountain range, as you can see, and if you kind of can't see it on this map, but I'm gonna show y'all on the other map. Here we go. Let me just do it like this, because I got a map up on another page. Do I got it unlock it? No, I don't. Let's see. All right, we're gonna go back to that. We're gonna go back to that. We gotta do this. This is crazy. We gotta do all of this. This is why niggas gotta edit their videos. Cool. All right, and then I'm gonna lock it back. Okay. All right. So, what was that? Okay, I got a map up right here. I want to show y'all that region of which Shem got allotted, right? I like to use Map Carter. I use Google Earth too, but and I can everything that's on Map Carter is on Google Earth. But some of the spots that's on Map Carter is not going. They're just not gonna show you them on Google Earth for some reason, right? Like some names just ain't going, and you got to really like look hard and type it in for it to like. You got to know exactly where. On here, you can kind of like type in something, and it's gonna give you a good range of different locations on Earth where it could possibly be, where they got these places located. But there's a mountain range. I don't like how that look. I need to give you another satellite view so you can see the mountain range. So as you can see, it's a little more. It's better, way better to see. So when you look at it, this mountain range right here, we're gonna start from South Africa, right? And we're just gonna do this. I'm just gonna show you Ararat. How do you spell rat? Oops. So I want to show y'all this because this is what it's about to do. You show this right. So it's a volcano. It says volcano, right? Mount Ararat volcano in Turkey, right? That's oddly the mountain. That's the mountain that they say, right? All the animals, the giraffes, and every animal, 7 of every kind was on the ark, landed in Turkey, right? And then all those animals, the gorillas and the hippopot, everybody traveled. The alligators, they all came from Turkey all the way down to Africa and found their home. And they say that because they like to make this little nonsensical thing, like, yeah, they is over 20 million years ago. Like they backdate the Bible, so it don't make no sense. But if you read and you pay attention to the nonsense that they say, you can clearly see through their lies. But Mount Ararat. You see how many Mount Ararats there are? I just want to point this out. I want to point this out before I get to my point. All right. So what I'm gonna do is, because I don't feel like typing, I'm gonna copy and paste. I'm gonna copy. I want to peep this. I want y'all to peep this. Mount, paste, and then you do this. South. Oh, look what pops up. Mount Ararat, Peak, Western Cape, South Africa. Wow. So this is what I noticed in my studies, right? Me doing my research, me studying, this is what I've noticed, right? There's a mountain range, right? It's not just one mountain. You see it says mountain, like Mount Ararat 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 4 of them right here in Africa, right? But these two are kind of the same. So when you click on this, it's going to lead you to Western Cape, Eastern Cape. So you're going to have one on the Western Cape, just boom, Western Cape. And I'm just going to show you. This is a mountain range. This is near the Royberg Mountains, and then there's a Royberg Nature Preserve over here, right? Which is crazy, right? It's nature preserve, right? Mm. And you got mountains and animals, and you feel me? And this is one of the highest points on the earth, right? Oddly, if you understand in the story of the boat landed, the ark landed on top of the Mount Lubar and rested for like how many months? 5 months before all the water settled down. It was safe for people to get off the boat. I want to point this place out too, Zoar. Zoar. That's in relation to Sodom and Gomorrah. But I'm gonna get to that too. Maybe not today, but I'm gonna get to that. So, but Mount Ararat. So we see Mount Ararat. This could be, to myself, I'm like, okay, this could be where the ark landed. But then I went back, right? I went back. I said, you know what? Let me look again, cause then it's another one. Where is it at? Mount Ararat. So as you can see, it's a mountain range, right? And it just took me to the other side of Africa, South Africa, right? It just took me over there. So this is a mountain range, and when you look at it, when you zoom in, and when you look on like Google Earth, you can tilt the map and all that, and you can really see it. But all of this, from here is the plains. You see, in the plain area, and then it's going up hills, then it's going up into the mountains, right? These are mountains, high, 10,000 feet high mountains, right? Then you going over here to Mount Ararat, right? Then I'm like, okay, there was another Mount Ararat. So like, let me just keep my search going, right? But you gotta have a method to your madness, and this is the method to me finding out the truth. And I found out the truth, and y'all gonna find out too. So I'm like, okay, it's another Mount Ararat in Limpopo, Africa, right? So damn, boom, wilderness, Wolkberg Wilderness, Mount Ararat. And then I zoomed out, right? And it say Fertilis, right? And on some maps, I don't know if it's on this map. Let me see if it pop up. It's gonna blow your mind. Terrain. Let's see if it pop up terrain wise. I might have to do like geo names, and then standard. No, we gonna do geo names, terrain, satellite view. So geo names, and I don't know if it's gonna pop up, but on this map. But if I pull up Google Earth, it's gonna pop up on Google Earth. That's the crazy thing. And we're gonna see it right here. I'm just gonna do it because it's right there. I just want to show y'all what I found. Like, it's crazy. So, what was we looking for? I want to say, is it in Guting? It's this one. No, it's art. I think it's this one. I want to see. Okay. So it might not be this one, but the thing is, in that region where I just showed you, I'm about to go right to it. So, and it probably is right here. As you see, I already got something marked out on there, right? Because I already got it plotted for y'all to see. But we gonna address that later. So right up in here is like the region where I just showed y'all, Fertilis, right? And it blew my mind when I first seen it. I said, ain't this about a... They be hiding stuff in plain sight. So, and they do that because they do it. What they do is they do that for a reason, because they don't want to lose and forget over the years, over time, they don't want to forget stuff. So they have to like leave some. Oh, I can tilt it. I didn't know that. They just want to leave some stuff like some of the names, or leave records of it in the land. This is how I find it every time. So I gotta go back. Gamampa. You just gotta go to Gamampa. Oops. I just seen Gamampa too. That's to the left. It's up until what was that? It's over here. Oops. Come on, big dog. Okay. Mom. Huh? That's better, right? MAMPA. Alright. Capricorn District. Gapamanca. Alright. Gapamanca. Gamampa. Gamampa. So, boom. Now we gotta go right over here for Chilis. Yeah, I went too far. I wasn't that far. So, Oakberg Nature Preserve. All right. So as you can see, right, this is the region where I had just put in Mount Ararat, right? Gamampa. And I just want to see if it's gonna pop up and show it, because I've seen it and it blew my mind when I seen it and it popped up. I'm like, oh, these they be playing, bro. Like it's a if you really look around, I can't find it. Gamamka. They ain't gonna want to show it. Mishpa, right? Mishpa. Don't that mean something? And watch this. I know it means something. What that Mishpa mean? Mishpa meaning why it means something. I don't want to go back there. Watchtower. It means the watchtower. Hero literally means watchtower or lookout. So watch this. Where it go? We was looking on Google Earth. If this is a high point, bro, this is probably a watchtower somewhere over here. What is this? Wow, a village somewhere that it was probably a watchtower back in the day. They probably had a watchtower somewhere over here. All right, ancient watchtower probably right here that they got blurred out. You can't see it. All right, that's what this is. That's why you can't see it. Because it's Google Earth. Why else can't I see it? Why else won't you let me zoom in to see it? See, that's how you know when you own something in a certain region. Why ain't it a little clearer? It looked just, man, we'll see. The terrain. This don't look like a watchtower area though. It could be. You gotta see which way people come, or it could be just this region. What's the mishpah? Like, look at the hill. This is the terrain of Jerusalem, right? If you're not familiar with the Bible and with how it's describing the land and all of that, like you really need to just read the Bible. This is what's being described, right? I'm about to take y'all back to what I found, if I can find it, because I'm all out of it. I don't even know where I'm at right now. I don't know if I'm going up or down, up or down. There we go. That's Miss Pie. I gotta go this way. So, here we go. If you're not familiar with the terrain of Africa and understanding how large this place is, and that every continent on Earth can fit inside of this continent and it still be room, this is like you don't understand. Like, look at the towns and villages. This is the land of Canaan. This is the land, the promised land. All of this land, right? All of this land. It's all of these hills and mountains. All of this is the promised land, y'all. I know it sounds crazy, but this is where the house of the Lord is, on these mountains. And I'm about to take y'all there if I can find it. Where I had it marked, to the mountain where I believe. I'm not gonna say where the truth, like it is definitive. I found it, but this is what I believe in my research that I found the location from the books that I've read, from me finding and looking up maps. Oh, there we go. I kind of wanted to stay in that view. That's cool. I'm gonna get it back. That was a cool little view. So I'm just gonna show y'all this terrain. You gotta understand the terrain, or else you won't. Sorry about that. I was looking at something on my screen. I'm looking around something. If you don't understand the terrain, you're not gonna understand nothing about the Bible, because the Middle East don't make no sense. It just don't. That's what led me down this path. Because I thought for a second when I was in my studies under like learning from the Hebrew Israelites in the camps, they hark on the Middle East being the Holy Land. Most of them camps do, but they haven't. And that's just because they got some underlying hatred for Africa. That's something else. I don't know. It's something. But as you can see, let me go up out of here. So, as you can see, I got marked Jerusalem. It says Jerusalem because I don't got it marked Jerusalem. You see, it says Jerusalem Secondary School. Can you see that? Let's go zoom in on it. Jerusalem Secondary School, right? This is Jerusalem, or what I believe is Jerusalem, on a mountain, right? And it says Jerusalem, right? I don't know if y'all can see it. It says Jerusalem. Okay. You ain't gonna let me do it. Okay, that's cool. Let's see if it let me do it now. It's so dirty. It ain't gonna let me make my zoom in on my screen no more. But how can you see it? Let me just tilt it back and go back to the top and then go down. This region right here is what I believe to be Jerusalem, which would be the land of Judea, where Benjamin is, the land of Benjamin, right? Why do I say that? Oh, because this is how you know it's the land of Benjamin, right? Read the book of Joshua. The land that got allotted was, he got a portion in Judea of Judea, in the portion of Judah, and his portion was in Jerusalem. He got a portion that actually was part of Jerusalem. And then how I know that this is the land of Benjamin for a fact, for anybody who likes to like really read and study the Bible for real, and not just say all of this New Testament nonsense to say that the Hebrews, the Israelites don't know what they're talking about. I'm just gonna show you some, and then you can go read your Bible and you tell me if I'm lying or not. Where is that? Let me zoom out because I can't find it unless I zoom out. All right, boom. So all of this down here, Jerusalem, Iligogoto, all the way down to Johannesburg, Pretoria. This would be the land of Benjamin. Now, how do I know it's the land of Benjamin? Remember, we're on Google Earth right now. How do I know this is the land of Benjamin? Well, this is how I know. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to find a location. And this location, you can go to the Bible and find the name, this exact name of this location, right? The exact name. And it's spelled the exact same way. And when you read it, it has significance to it. I don't know. Where is that? It's cool. I know how to find it. I'm just gonna type it in. It takes you down to this area. And it says Benoni. Benoni is a town in the East Rangutang, South Africa, some 26 kilometers east of Johannesburg. Excuse me, with the city of Ekurhuleni. It's probably some. That's a Hebrew word, honestly. Municipality. Benoni was also the setting of MTV inspired movie Crazy Monkey. Okay, didn't know that. But anyways, Benoni, right? Benjamin. This is the name that Benjamin's mother gave him when he was born. Jacob gave him, I mean, not Jacob, yeah, Jacob. Jacob gave his son the name of Benjamin, but his mother gave him the name Benoni. And then we'll just go to another spot. I'll show you another spot. And just pop it right on up. Benoni, and then we got Bethel, right? This is Bethel, right? These are different towns and cities. These are different cities that when you read the book of Joshua, you see that this is the land that they got, right? This is the land of Benjamin to the south, to the sea, right? Within the land of Judea. This is where we're from. Negroes, African Americans, black men and women of the slave trade. This is where we from. And it's hard to understand that because it's like, well, what's up? How we come from there if they got us from over here in West Africa? Well, to understand that, you got to go all the way back to the Roman Empire, to the time of the Greeks and the Roman Empire. Those were the people that got us up out of here first. How do I know that? I'm about to show you how I know that. I just found the place. I'm gonna just go here. When they talk about Alexandria, right? It talks about Alexandria in the Bible, Alexander the Great, and they went down to Alexandria in Egypt. Like Alexandria is right here, right? So when they say he was in Egypt and all of that, how do we know they're not lying? They're not saying that this was the Alexandria he's at, right? Down here, when there are plenty of, this is literally Alexandria, and this has been on maps for a very long time down here. But then they say, oh, he was in Alexandria in Egypt. Well, when you read the Bible, some of these regions down here were like inhabited by Hamites. So who's to say that this wasn't at the time when this wasn't still a Hamitic region, because all of the land hadn't been subdued yet. And then at the time of the Greeks coming in, you didn't have all of the tribes in the land anyway. You only had Benjamin and Judah down here, right? In the south, because that's who the Romans took. Then you go and you do a little more research on the land, right? On the area. Let's go back over here. You do a little more research and you read some maps or read some writings and some biblical stuff. It talks about how the region this way over here should be kind of a barren. It's kind of not barren, but it's like forested area. It's uninhabited type shit, right? And it's true. Like when you, man, let me see, tilt in so I can show y'all this. like the regions that's just in the Bible being talked about are all here. All the mountains. These are the Drakensberg Mountains as well too. So my belief is this. As you can see, this mountain range, this is the mountain range, same mountain range of Ararat as well. So it sits on the mountain range of the Ararat Mountains, right? All it is was the Ararat Mountains. So it's a whole mountain range. And I don't know what that means in Hebrew, but clearly it would make sense if the holy of holies is over here on these high mountains, right? Then that over here would be uh, the excuse me, I had a brain fart. Would be where Noah's Ark landed, right? It would make sense that God Himself would make that ark land close to His holy of holies, and then from there, all of the animals from this region spread on out, right? And then you learn that from reading the Book of Jubilees. I'm gonna go to some more reading now. Do some reading. You learn from the Book of Jubilees that I'm not about to read the Book of Jubilees, but you learn from the Book of Jubilees that when they settled after the ark, they went, they started to build towns, right, and cities, right. Sinwabarana. So it might be on the one on. It should be one on the. It should be three cities. Shem, Ham, and Japhet all built the city, north, south, and east after coming down from the ark, right? So it should be vineyards, all of this. It should be all of this stuff. Like this should be a vineyard area and all of this. Why? Because that's what Noah planted when he got out the ark, right? Elim, right? Elim is right here. Not over there in the Middle East where Elam and all. Elim, if you read the Bible, it talks about Elim in the Bible, right? I'm not about to get into all of that right now, but it talks about Elim. It's just so many places in South Africa that just from looking at the map and having the Bible and just going through it, you'd be like, dang, you start to ask yourself questions like, what? Like, why is Bethlehem, why is Nazareth still on the map in South Africa? Like, why is these biblical names? And then you'll read some excuse, it was named after the place in the Bible. That's their excuse. Their excuse is they're gonna lie and say that this place that you see in South Africa was named later on when the Europeans got there. They gave it a biblical name. No, it was named that. Y'all just found it. And don't want nobody to know where they from ultimately. So yeah, but that's enough of this map. We gonna go something else. So you got to think, man. You got to start using your brain to think. And what I want to show today is something I found looking up South Africa. Right? And I found the book. So now I got to go back to the other. Give me 1 second. That's all I get. I gotta go back to that other book. Okay, we're gonna go back there. We're gonna go down. I gotta do this all over again. Oh my gosh. Josh. Oh my Josh. You joshing me. Are you joshing me? I'm silly, I'm sorry. Don't be joshing me. So look, we gonna go back to this one. I'm gonna pull up it so I can see it. And I'm gonna present now. I just made my case with the maps. But now here's the proof and the evidence, right, that I found. I'm going to use this book first, right? So this is a book called The Dictionary of African Place Names, right? I'm going to go back to the top so y'all can see it. Hopefully what I highlighted in this is still highlighted. The Dictionary of Southern African Place Names, right? Let me close that too. All right. So we're gonna scroll it down. 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 Cause yeah, I think it is. It is highlighted still. So we're gonna start here. This is the Dictionary of South African Place Names, right? All right. We're gonna start from the left. Berseba, right? It says station of the Rhenish Missionary Society, some 97 kilometers northwest of Keetmanshoop, at the foot of the Bukaros Mountain, founded in 1850 by Samuel Hahn, 1805 to 1883, and named by him. See, off top, and named by him with reference to the biblical Beersheba, Genesis 21 and 31, well of oath. So, if they found a place, if they found a well, this is pretty much what they're telling you. They're telling you they found a well there. So Samuel Hahn found it and was like, oh, this must be Beersheba because the natives called this place Beersheba and it's a well here. This must be the well of oath. That's what they were doing at the time during their times in the 1800s. Then we have the next one, Bethel. Town 150 kilometers east of Johannesburg. I just showed you that. It was east of Johannesburg, established on a portion of the farm. Blick, I can't stand how they just butchered biblical names to replace them with German names. And proclaimed on the 12th of October, blah, blah, blah. Named after two sisters, Elizabeth. See how they play it? They always play it like that, but we know what Bethel is, right? Bethel is the house of the Lord, right? That's what it means. So, Bethany. Blah, blah, blah. Of biblical origin. Matthew 26 and 6, Mark 14 and 3, and 11 and 1. This is a Hebrew name for a house of sorrows and misery. Then we have Bethanian. I'm going to skip all of this. The reference is biblical. House of misery. Approved as Bethany. So we can't pull up Bethany in the same region. Two on that other map. Then we got Bethany right here. House of misery. Bethelsdorp, right, with his Bethel, house of God. Okay, that's the different one than Bethel. Bethel, right? So Bethel is the house of God. Then you have Bethlehem, of course, house of bread. Bethuli. Then you see that it's called Verhulopolis, right? So they've been in the land for a very long time, changing names, setting up Roman provinces, and so you'll see a lot of opolises still in all throughout the eastern coast of Africa, all throughout Africa, because they were there. That's just one. I got to scroll all the way down, so just bear with me for a second. I scroll down because clearly it's sporadic through this PDF document, but it was just there's another part series, right? A town in the Dwars River in the warm Bokelveld, Cape. It's in Cape Town, northeast of Cape Town, right? It was named after the Roman goddess of agriculture by virtue and fertility of the soil. So how would they name that after the Roman goddess of agriculture? Because that's what they named it back in those days, and the Romans was there. Now they're going to try to tell you that Prince Alfred Hamlet established it in 1854 and became the municipality. No, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear all those lies, man. We own to y'all. I'm on to y'all. The British Empire and your cohorts, your financiers. We know who the financiers are. And we do know who the financiers are. So this was something very interesting to me. I'm gonna scroll up so y'all can see it. So Dow Josaphat, right? Industrial township in the valley, Dal Josaphat, in the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of Jehoshaphat. Industrial township in the valley between Pearl and Wellington, housing most of the industry excuse me, of the industries of Pearl. A cemetery of the Huguenots was laid out in 1692. Here are buried a number of the pioneers of the Afrikaans language. The name of the biblical origin, referring to a place of judgment, Joel 3:1-2, also encountered as Daljasophet and Dalvan Josephat, right? But that's significant because it shows you Daljosaphat, the valley between the Pearl and Wellington. So the valley in between Pearl and Wellington is the valley of Jehoshaphat. It just makes sense. When you think about, I like to think about how I used to sit in front of the TV as a kid and watch TV and all of the stories and the books that they would talk about from the past and just all of your old English and European stories, right, that we learned. And now that I have a developed mind, it just makes so much sense what they did with the Bible. What they did with the Bible is that they had to make the Bible digestible to to Europeans so that they would be willing to see it as them being the people or this being talking about them, right? That's why you got such a big confusion right now with the church being Israel, right? The church being replacing the people. The church doesn't replace the sons and descendants of God who were slaves in Egypt. That just doesn't happen. Yeah, it's just crazy. But anyway, I'm just gonna skip past that. I want to get past this and go to this next book, right? So that's my one proof. So I just gotta find it. Oriental Geography, Historical Atlas of South Africa, a tour of South Africa. Here we go. So I have this book called A Tour of South Africa. And there is a section in this book that I found very interesting because it points out something. So before I get to it though, I got to go to the top because it ain't gonna make no sense if I don't go to the top. Because this is the first thing that made me even download it. I was like, oh yeah, gotta get it. That's it. Proof right in the pudding. Proof on the first page, right? So I got your ass. I do. So just know that I got you. Come on. Now you want to run slow because I got you kind of enlarged. 1 second, y'all. It's moving a little slow. I got the page kind of big. So I'm just gonna scroll down and I'm gonna show y'all this. And this is what caught my eye and what blew my mind. Remember, the book is called what? A Tour of South Africa. Always keep that in your mind. This book is about them touring South Africa. Like, so from Sub-Sahara on down would be considered South Africa in the sense of Europeans' minds. Everything from Mesopotamia on up is like Africa, right? You gotta kind of understand, or everything from Mesopotamia on down would really be Asia or South Africa. From there on up, going like from Babylon and some other regions that's down in the mountains, Sudan and all of that would be considered Africa, right? In the European mind, that's where the darker people are, right? Not really. They're dark everywhere. People darker than the ones in Africa, dark Africans. So in Sudan, people are dark everywhere because Ham seed was dark everywhere. But let me keep going. I digress. I just want to get to the first page of this. That's really what it's about. I don't really have to show you nothing else. You read that for yourself and you tell me what it say. You leave it in the comments, the word to point out. When you see this, you leave it in the comment, the word to point out about South Africa and its association with this word. Why is it there? Does that make sense to anybody today in modern time? It don't make sense, do it? The last word? after Egypt. Hmm. With the notice of Natal, Mauritius, Madagascar, Ceylon, Egypt, and Palestine. Hmm. That's crazy, ain't it? A tour in Africa, a tour in South Africa with notices of Natal, Mauritius, Madagascar, Ceylon, Egypt, and Palestine. Listen, man. Listen, man. Listen. If they don't be playing in our face, so what I did was, I'm like, all right. What I like to do is when I get these books, when I find these books, and when did this book come out? This book was published in 1851. There we go. See, you got to find books that's prior to the 1860s, 70s. The further you go back, the more truth you're going to find about this information, right? If there's any still left. Oddly, I got a bunch. So, because I just like to do this, I love it. I'm trying to get out of this world more and more every day and be who I'm supposed to be. But it's just hard. That's just ultimately what it is. But it's no excuse though, because either I'm gonna do it or I'm gonna not. But at the end of the day, this is what I feel like I was sent here. Part of my mission was on this earth is to find out this information and present it to the world. So we're gonna skip past the preface. I don't want to care about the preface. We can read the preface if y'all want to, because it talks about some things. But let me read this right here. Okay, it says right here. I'll start here. The first, second, and third chapters are occupied with notices of the colony and various mission stations and institutions. Fourth and fifth chapters, British Kaffraria and Madur's country. Sixth chapter, history of the Hottentots. Seventh, Cat River settlement. Eighth, Hottentot grievances. Ninth, Kafir history. Kafir. So that's like a sub. That's like another word for like infidel or people who don't want to conform to the religion type shit. I forget the whole exactly what it means. 10th, various towns up in the Orange River. 11th, the Greek's missions among them. 12th, Bakwanas and missions among them. British sovereignty. 13th, British sovereignty between the Vaal and the Orange River. 14th, Basuto country and French missions. 15th, Natal. 16th, Mauritius and Madagascar. 16th, Ceylon, Aden, and Suez. 18th, Egypt, and 19th, Palestine. Now, if you read this in a way, it kind of makes it seem like, well, look, it's going from the south to the north. No, 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 no. They're going from the sub-Saharan on down. This is what they're and in between, right? That's what they're doing. Because I read this. So he's bouncing around he's going on an expedition, right? So this author is going on an expedition. I forget his name. I don't even care about it right now. But I guess this is his name. Douglas Road Kingland. And I just go back up for sake of scholarship. Right? For sake of scholarship, I'll go back up so I can know exactly who this guy is. Cause that's bold. That's bold, Trey. He's just like, nigga, forget who the nigga wrote it, nigga. I don't even care who wrote it. What you write in it. So yeah, no, by J.J. Freeman, right? So J.J. Freeman wrote this. Home Secretary of the London Missionary Society. So the London Missionary Society, they sent missionaries to Africa for this reason. To plot to find the Holy Land. That's what they did. So all right, we're gonna go down. We're gonna get to the point where I wanted to show y'all. And I just read that to y'all. What the chapters was gonna be about. The 19th chapter, right? Palestine. Then you got some illustrations in here, mountains, and all of this is about South Africa. So what I did was I said, all right, bam. We're gonna go right here. And we're gonna go right to the gist of it. Because all of this is talking about everything going on in sub-Saharan to South Africa. That's literally what all of this book is about, right? And then you get to a portion of the contents where it just says what you wanted to say. It says chapter 19, right? Palestine. So I said it's on 440. We're going to start at 440. I know that ain't 440. It's Egypt, right? So we're going to go past that until we get to page 440 on this actual PDF file. And then we're going to read from there. So y'all can see what I saw. And y'all can see what y'all on to eyes. I mean, if there's any other question, and you just at this point in the video, you're just in denial, because I just gave you so much proof up until this point of now you got written proof, and you see it in the name of the title of the book. Then you're about to see a whole chapter written about it, right? In association to not Palestine in the Middle East, but Palestine being South Africa, Southeast Africa, to be specific. The plains of the Philistines and the land of the Philistines and the land of Gaza, right? And all those other mountainous range. So we're just going to skip what it says. This contains, because it's kind of small, can't read it. But entering now the ancient country of the Philistines. I hope to have reached Gaza from the Sheikh Judy in one day, that I found, however, from its distance, to be impracticable. Yeah, impracticable. I said that right. In the course of the morning, we came to Rapha, or Raphia, once a city of considerable magnitude, as is evident from the quantity of fragments of pottery. Look what they're doing. They're finding pottery scattered profusely on the ground. 2 pillars of dark red granite remain, about 12 feet high, 16 inches in diameter, and these are beautifully polished. At a short distance is a large well of from 6 to 8 feet diameter, of great depth, but not now used. Here, Pharaoh's daughter was delivered unto the care of the elders who came down from Solomon to receive her, on the occasion of the marriage of the son David with the daughter of the Egyptian monarch. Here also Antiochus and Ptolemy fought. Elephants had been trained for battle, and Antiochus was defeated. Wow, never knew that. And where else do you find elephants at? See, this is they be trying to act like people had elephants in the desert, and it don't make no sense. We came to Conwannes. I need to type that in and see what that pronunciation is. Conwannes, or I want to say that's like Johannesburg. Johannes, right? Johannes. A little after midday. That is probably is Johannesburg, also real. A little after midday, fully resolved on going forward. However, the governor of the town, a Turkish authority, and his suite met my men, and told them it was proper to remain for the night, assigning as reasons that we could not reach Gaza that night, and that he could not at the moment send the escorts with me, which he deemed essential for my safety. But no time would really be lost, as this delay would be reckoned a part of my quarantine. 5 days are demanded for quarantine on entering Syria, including the day of arrival and departing. Conwannes is in Syria, and the governor is under the Sultan, and not Abbas Pasha. My stay there would be reckoned 1 day, and the next day, on reaching Gaza, would be accounted a second day, out of the stipulated 5 days. My attendant very prudently told me that, being now in quarantine, I must not move to any distance from my tent. The same circumstance prevented all intrusion on the part of the people. So what they did was, since he just came to Africa as a European, they was quarantining him to make sure he didn't get niggas sick. It makes total sense. He came to Africa. The Turks was down there ruling, right? When you clearly see this is a book about South Africa, so we ain't even got to talk about that. The Turks was ruling, so go back through the history, learn about who was ruling Jerusalem and the fights and the conquests and the Crusades. All of that is talking about them going to South Africa, fighting for that land, right? Um, so they had to quarantine, right? This is what they rule. Quarantine for 5 days so we can make sure you ain't sick and done nothing around. You get sick, you stay in this tent. And if you if it'll be signs, right? Type pretty much that's what they were saying. It'll be signs. So let's see where else we at. All right, boom. We kept a respectful distance from each other. We pitched our tent near some tombs. Two women shortly after passed by crying and weeping bitterly. One of them had just lost her husband, a camel driver, who had been killed during the week by the Bedouins who had that very morning demanded of me blackmail, and to whom I paid three pastries. So yeah, they was on their ass. Excuse me, bro. It's funny. I'm sorry. It was on them. The demand in the case of this murdered man was made on the account of some Christians who had been conducting on the road. The camel driver had refused the payment. His temerity, his temerity cost him his life. He was I don't know what that meant. Temerity. I never heard that word. Um, the man who was killed belonged to Khan Juanes. So, who is Khan Juanes? Prester John? Oh, Khan Juanes, Prester John. Khan, let me type this in. Hold on, dog. See, I never thought about that. Cause why? Who is Khan Juanes and why is he in Africa? It's gonna say Prester John somewhere, bro. Mm, who is? Who is? Who is? Why they want to give you a? See, that's what I don't like. No, of the 1800s. No, no. See, they want to avoid it. They want to avoid it. Con Juanes. So I like how they do that. They like it's a real talented law like this. It's a because what I just got from this was okay when they putting a con on there, they throw the con on there because they know the con is associated with like Khans, Genghis Khan and stuff like that, right? Over in Asia, and of course they in their heads, right? Before they're calling this Africa, they've thought of South Africa as Asian because who are they surrounded with and surrounded by? They're surrounded by brown skinned people that look Asian. They're brown skinned Negroid people that have Asiatic features. So this is why they say little stuff like this, and this is why you have to understand how they were writing during those certain times and today because it's all deception. It's all to deceive you and all to make sure you don't associate the Holy Land with South Africa or with Africa as a whole, period. You don't. It's like God has nothing to do with that land, and Garden of Eden is in the Middle East, in the desert and underwater, and it's just so much stuff that when you dig into the mind of the deception, it's like it makes no sense to somebody who's a sensible person. Um, so let's get back to this. I'm gonna skip this because I want to get to the gist of what it was talking about. It's entering Palestine. Okay, we reached Gaza district about midday, crossed the wadi called the Wadi Gaza, and then some low sand hills, and came in sight of the town with the Lazaretto and its red flag flying. I want to know what that means. Lazaretto. Sometimes Lazaret is a quarantine station for maritime travelers. Lazaret can be the ships permanently at the anchor, isolated island. Oh, okay, so it was a boat. Okay, they was traveling by boat. See, if you don't understand the terminology, look it up. So, with the Lazaretto and its red flag flying at a short distance on the south side of the town. So I tried to get permission to fix my tent outside the Lazaretto in the fields, but was told it was not the custom. So into the Lazaretto we were conducted as if criminals awaited execution. So they put them boys on the boat, quarantined them on the boat. It was a large triangular. Oh, okay. No, here we go. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was. It was just. It was a building for quarantine. That's really what it was. It was a large quadrangular building um, with several apartments for travelers. These are upper rooms at the two extremities. At one side of the square town, unfurnished, and for one of these for myself, and one below for my servants. I had to pay £1.18. I guess that's what they say, and moreover for the honor of boarding two men with. Okay, yeah, he had to board them. See how I say stuff? Boarding. It makes you think like they're boarding, but no, you're putting them up in the room. Two men with my servants during my stay. And she'll watch that we did not break my quarantine. An impudent piece of imposition altogether. Here was a fine season. No sickness prevailing at Cairo, from whence we came. No sickness in any of the party. And yet 5 days quarantine and a delay demanded, and payment into the bargain. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I had this highlighted. Thank you. Here then, I found myself actually in Palestine. And although not yet in the most interesting section of it, still, it was the land of the Bible. Every inch of which seemed full of incident. I was now in the original country of the Philistines and in Gaza, on the coast allotted to the tribe of Dan. From this ancient town, Samson carried away the gates, as recorded in Judges, whatever it is, 16, Judges 16 and 21. And here too was made prisoner, and subsequently took his revenge on the lords of the Philistines, who had assembled for sport by destroying them at the moment when most intent on their merriment. In the New Testament, we find Philip introduced to proceed to the road that conducted from Jerusalem to Gaza, which is desert, and in doing which he met with the officer of Candace, queen of Ethiopia. See, why would Candace be? Why would an Ethiopian queen be here? It don't make no sense. Okay, and planted him the prophecy of Isaiah, and administered to him Christian baptism on his profession of the faith and of the Savior. The afternoon before I was allowed to leave Gaza, the medical attendant attached to the Lazaretto came to pay me his official visit. He was formerly a Roman Catholic, but is now a Muslim. I guess that's like Arab. I don't know what the Musliman is. It's gonna say Muslim when I look it up, but I guess it means Muslim. Yeah, Musliman is Muslim, right? Because he say he was formerly a Roman Catholic, now he's a Muslim. So Musliman is Muslim, right? The only ordeal I had to go through was to show my tongue. The doctor seemed okay. Told you they were trying to make sure he wasn't sick. The doctor seemed satisfied with its appearance, and I was with the reality, and so we wished each other good day. Next came the demand for $1.18 for the quarantine fees, and then a civil request for backsheesh for the servants in attendance. My passport was also returned in due form and endorsed. These didn't have passports back then. That's crazy. All right. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Gaza occupies the side of the summit. Right here in the bottom. Gaza occupied the side of the summit of a hill on a great elevation. On the northeast, the view is extensive. The distant hill came out into view, and must be those I I apprehended, to which Samson carried the gates of Gaza. Okay, so he must have carried them gates of Gaza into them hills. Uh, they appear, they appeared to be about 30 miles of distance. The old town of Gaza was, however, destroyed during the Jewish War and was to remain uninhabited. Gaza also shall see it and be very sorrowful. And Ekron for her expectations shall be ashamed, and the king shall perish from Gaza. Zechariah 9:5. All right. This old town is not far from the present one. It is in part occupied, but there are many ruins, and among them are, it is said, there are very pillars of the temple of Dagon that Samson pulled down on the heads of the Philistines' nobles. On the site of the temple, the Empress Helena built a magnificent church. That church has since been converted into a mosque and is, in fact, the principal mosque in the palace, principal mosque in the place. It is noble. It is a noble structure. Contains some good Corinthian pillars and is among the oldest Christian antiquities in the country. So from there, I'm gonna stop and I want to go back to boom Gaza. Oh, I shouldn't have did that. Now I'm blacked out. All right, I'm gonna go back there. No, why did do that? Oh man, do me. All right, we're gonna go back there. So now, as we just read it, right? So this is my theory, right? So I can show you a map easily. This is Gaza, right here. This area right here, where it says Parque National Bahrain and Fuhularu, right? All that Masinga. This would be considered Gaza. All this going up to Mozambique. All that. This is Gaza, right? So what they're saying is that um yeah, that's cool. What they're saying is that I'll be losing my train of thought, y'all. Excuse me. I'll be thinking about a lot as I'm moving, as I'm looking through these maps. Um, so what they were saying is that they took a road from, let me see. They took a road from coming from this way, from where Jerusalem this way is, all the way to Gaza, right? Like Gaza is down here, right? This is the plains and all the way down here somewhere, right? Or through this region, right? Somewhere through this region, right? These is the plains of Gaza. Because you got to come down the mountains. You got to come down the mountains. All this is sitting up on the mountains, right? And you know how big is it? Like people don't understand it because it just seems impossible, but it don't seem impossible when you got people, when you got 12 tribes that just left out of Mizraim, right? So from the east, when you understand what the Bible is giving people, is giving you this. It's giving you people came from this region, right? Like Egypt extended. So just to get people to understand of where Egypt was. Mizraim was like Uganda area, like from here, Uganda. Because you got to remember, the Egyptian Empire was an empire. So by the time you get to the dynasty of when Joseph is ruling in it, they had already been doing whatever they've been doing, building along the Nile, but they weren't necessarily building this way, right, along the Nile, going up into the north. They were building down here, right? The oldest Egyptian everything, the land of Goshen, where it's fertile land, would have been down in this region over here, right? When you actually understand Mesopotamia and the land between rivers, Sinar, all of that, like this, you gotta understand it because look, this is divider. Cush, Cush and his brothers got land over here, right? All of this stuff over here. Mizraim got land right over here, going from Sudan, Juba, going through Chad, right? Going up. Then you got for over here, Chad was like put, which you get put would be Chad, Libya going up. Canaan was supposed to go over here. Canaan didn't go over here to the west. Canaan said, I like Shem's land, right? So Canaan said, I'm going over here, right? So Canaan came this way, Uganda, right? This is where he came to where it was some good land at. Because he seen after the flood, I mean, even not even after the flood, before the flood or whatever. Well, no, after the flood, right? Everybody picking lands. You can probably see you looking on you at the top of the mountains. You on top of these mountains, and you can look out and see the rest of the world, right? The rest of Africa, where your brothers is getting land. They like he see that land over there. He like, no, I'm straight. This look like the desert. I'm gonna just take this land. And they told him like, don't take that land. You feel me? Don't take that land. It's gonna bring a curse onto your kin. He took it anyway, and the curse came on his kin. So I just wanted to give that little rundown, that little breakdown. Hopefully, people understand where I'm coming from with this video. Um, I pretty much showed you a lot of proof. I gave you a book. I gave you places on a map. I gave you places on two different maps. One map people really probably would blow. That's not credible. But then I went to Google Earth, pull up the same biblical spots that are mentioned. These areas right here. Let me give you with my belief and with if you read, it tells you where Mesopotamia is. This would be considered Mesopotamia, right? And they tell you. I probably said this in my other video that I made. All right, there we go. This is the land of Sinar, right? So the land of Sinar is here, right? Not just in between this land, not in between these rivers, because you've seen it, because it means the land between rivers. So not just is this one area Sinar, right? Or that one this one spot right here. Not only is this Sinar, right? This region over here and this region over here of the Nile, this valley going up and over here into these regions would be the land of Cush, right? Eritrea, which I believe is possibly the land of the Chaldees, or it is like ancient Babylon, because it has to be seawater. They use seawater to build the city around Babylon, right? So it land between rivers, or the Tower of Babel. I'm sorry. They use seawater. This is the only sea that's close by, right? So that being said, they had to use that one, and they said it was in the east, plain east of in the plain Sinar eastward, which only makes sense that it would be somewhere over here. And then you get Babylon, which would have been the kingdom that would have been Abyssinia, Ethiopia, right? It would have been like ancient Babylon was in this region, right? In this region, Gondor, Bahir, like Lalibela, right? All of this would have been like Babylon, because this is the Kushite area. Even to this day, this is where Nimrod and them was from, right? His people. And then they went westward too. Some of them probably went west, and they settled India. or those are Shemitic people. I don't know. Well, they could be Shemitic, but it don't make sense that they're Shemitic to me because um, Shem's Shem's sons got everything from the center middle of the earth. So mountain range, you got mountain range that goes all the way across. This is all Shem's land, and then all of this, right? All of this is all going to Shem. All of this over here, all of this in here, Ethiopia, all of this ultimately was Shem's land, right? They got a lot of town all the way over, and it reaches the great river Euphrates, the great river Euphrat, and then it goes down. This is why it's the best land. So, that being said, I hope y'all got the gist of this little video that I presented to y'all today. Hopefully it's not too boring. Hopefully it's a little bit informative. I know I could be a little, a little rambler, but it's cool. I presented some stuff, But yeah, this is it. Like, subscribe, comment. Please comment and share this. Just share it so other people can see and get a gist of understanding that there is books. There are books. Excuse me. There are books out here that European scholars and discoverers have written about that clearly show that this region is the promised land, the Holy Land. And not only just this region, this entire area of Africa. And you just read the Bible. And then you read other books. So that being said, thank you. Like, subscribe, comment. I can't find the stop record button.